Gentlemen, what if I told you that everything you've been taught about winning in business, relationships, and life is not just wrong, but actively sabotaging your success? What if the very rules of conquest that society demands you follow are the chains keeping you from your true potential? Welcome to a revelation that will fundamentally shift how you approach every interaction, every opportunity, every moment where victory hangs in the balance. This isn't another recycled pickup artist manual or generic self-help rhetoric. This is about understanding why Sigma males consistently outmaneuver, outthink, and ultimately outlast everyone else in the game of life. Picture this. While the alphas are beating their chests and the betas are seeking approval, there's a third player moving in the shadows, calm, calculated, and devastatingly effective. This player doesn't follow the traditional playbook because he's written his own. He doesn't compete in crowded arenas because he's created entirely new playing fields. He doesn't chase victory because victory gravitates toward him. You've witnessed this phenomenon countless times without fully understanding it. The entrepreneur who builds empire-level wealth while others struggle for scraps. The man who attracts exceptional women without desperation or games. The individual who commands respect without demanding it. The leader who influences without coercion. These aren't accidents or lucky breaks. They're the natural results of operating from a completely different paradigm. The Sigma male doesn't ignore rules out of rebellion or ignorance. He transcends them through deep understanding of human psychology, market dynamics, and the fundamental forces that drive success. While others fight for position in existing hierarchies, he architects entirely new systems where he naturally sits at the apex. Over the next 6 chapters, we'll deconstruct the Sigma advantage piece by piece. You'll discover why conventional conquest strategies fail spectacularly for high-value men. You'll learn the psychological principles that make others unconsciously seek your approval rather than the reverse. If you're ready to abandon the conquest, strategies that keep you trapped in endless competition, and discover the Sigma approach that makes victory inevitable, then hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This channel is your headquarters for advanced masculine development. Join us while you still can. The invisible advantage. The Sigma male's greatest weapon isn't what people see, it's what they don't. While everyone else is performing, demonstrating, and proving their worth, you operate from a position of quiet certainty that renders all that noise irrelevant. This invisible advantage stems from a fundamental shift in perspective. Where others see competition, you see opportunity. Where others see obstacles, you see positioning. Where others see rejection, you see redirection toward better outcomes. Take Elon Musk's approach to business criticism. Instead of defending every decision publicly, he maintains focus on execution while letting results speak. This creates an aura of unshakable confidence that competitors cannot replicate through performance alone. Your invisible advantage develops through consistent internal work. You build unshakable self-knowledge, develop genuine competence, and cultivate patience that allows you to move when timing is optimal rather than when pressure demands action. The practical application is simple. Stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned the explanation. Stop defending decisions to those who lack the context to understand them. Start operating from the assumption that your value is self-evident to those who matter. Strategic detachment mastery. Strategic detachment isn't emotional withdrawal, it's psychological positioning that prevents others from using your desires against you. When you're not attached to specific outcomes, you cannot be leveraged, manipulated, or controlled. This mastery shows up in negotiations where you're genuinely prepared to walk away. The other party senses this authenticity and naturally adjusts their position to keep you engaged. Your detachment becomes their attachment. Consider how Warren Buffett approaches investments. He's not emotionally invested in any single opportunity because he knows better ones will always emerge. This detachment allows him to make rational decisions that compound into extraordinary wealth. The Sigma male practices detachment in all areas: career advancement, relationship development, and social positioning. You engage fully while remaining internally free from the outcome. This paradox creates magnetic attraction because people sense your genuine self-sufficiency. Start practicing strategic detachment by identifying areas where you're overinvested emotionally. Develop backup plans that reduce your dependence on any single outcome. Build internal validation systems that don't require external confirmation. The scarcity psychology weapon. Scarcity isn't manufactured through artificial tactics. It's the natural result of becoming genuinely valuable and selectively available. When you develop rare combinations of skills, perspectives, and character, scarcity becomes your default market position. The psychology behind this weapon is profound. Humans value what's difficult to obtain and protect what's easy to lose. By becoming selectively available rather than constantly accessible, you trigger ancient psychological programming that elevates your perceived value. Steve Jobs exemplified this principle by creating products that generated waiting lists and limiting access to new technologies. The scarcity wasn't artificial. It reflected genuine innovation that couldn't be replicated quickly. Your personal scarcity develops through excellence in meaningful areas. Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you become exceptional for a specific type of person or situation. This natural selectivity creates authentic scarcity that commands premium positioning. Implement scarcity psychology by developing skills that few possess, maintaining standards that few meet, and offering attention that few receive. Quality over quantity becomes your operational philosophy across all life domains. Conquest through indifference. True indifference isn't apathy. It's emotional freedom that allows you to engage without neediness. When you're genuinely indifferent to outcomes beyond your control, you paradoxically become more attractive to the very outcomes you're not chasing. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive principle of Sigma psychology, yet it's also the most powerful. The foundation of conquest through indifference lies in understanding a fundamental truth about human psychology. People are naturally drawn to what they cannot easily have or control. When you demonstrate genuine indifference to someone's response, approval, or participation, you trigger ancient psychological patterns that elevate your perceived value in their mind. This principle works because indifference signals high value and abundant options. People unconsciously assume that someone who isn't pursuing them desperately must have better alternatives available. This assumption creates curiosity and pursuit behavior. They begin wondering what makes you so confident, what options you have that they don't know about, and why their usual leverage tactics aren't working on you. Consider the dating marketplace, where most men operate from scarcity and desperation. They text immediately. They're always available. They bend their schedules to accommodate others, and they seek constant validation that their interest is reciprocated. This behavior signals low value and abundant time, making them less attractive. Regardless of their other qualities, the Sigma male approaches the same situation with genuine indifference to specific outcomes. He's interested in getting to know someone, but he's not attached to whether that particular person reciprocates. This isn't a performance or manipulation. It's the natural result of having built a life so fulfilling that additions are enhancements rather than necessities. This indifference extends far beyond romantic relationships. In business negotiations, the person who's genuinely prepared to walk away holds all the power. In career advancement, The employee who isn't desperate for any particular promotion often receives multiple offers. In social situations, the individual, who doesn't need group approval, often becomes the group's natural center. Daniel Craig's portrayal of James Bond demonstrates conquest through indifference perfectly. His character engages with others fully while remaining emotionally detached from their responses. He's present, attentive, and capable of deep connection, but he's not needy or dependent on any specific outcome. This creates magnetic attraction because people sense his self-sufficiency and emotional stability. The practical implementation of this principle requires authentic inner work, not surface-level acting. You cannot fake genuine indifference because people are unconsciously skilled at detecting neediness and desperation. The indifference must be real, which means building a life that provides genuine satisfaction, independent of external validation. Start by identifying areas where you're currently over-invested emotionally. These might include waiting for text responses, seeking approval from specific people, needing particular outcomes for career advancement, or requiring certain social recognition to feel valuable. Each of these attachments creates vulnerability that others can exploit. Next, develop alternative sources of satisfaction in each area. If you're over-invested in one romantic prospect, cultivate options and interests that provide fulfillment regardless of their response. If you're desperate for one career opportunity, build skills and networks that create multiple pathways to success. If you need specific social approval, develop internal validation systems and alternative social circles. The goal isn't to become cold or disconnected. You remain fully engaged and present in interactions while maintaining emotional freedom from specific outcomes. You care about people and situations without being controlled by them. You invest energy without becoming dependent on returns. This level of authentic indifference takes time to develop because it requires genuine confidence in your value and options. As you build competence, character, and alternative opportunities, indifference becomes natural rather than performed. People sense this authenticity and respond accordingly. The Sigma male conquers through indifference by becoming genuinely satisfied with his current situation while remaining open to improvement. You're not rejecting opportunities. You're simply not dependent on them for your sense of worth or happiness. This emotional positioning makes you magnetic to the very outcomes you're not desperately pursuing. Timing as ultimate power. The Sigma male understands that timing often matters more than effort, talent, or resources. Moving at the right moment with adequate preparation beats moving perfectly at the wrong time. This temporal intelligence separates masters from amateurs across all domains and represents one of the most undervalued skills in modern society. Most people operate in reactive mode, responding to immediate pressures and opportunities without considering broader temporal patterns. They force action when conditions aren't optimal, then wonder why their efforts produce mediocre results despite significant investment of time and energy. The Sigma male takes a different approach entirely. Timing mastery requires three fundamental components: patience, observation, and decisive action. You must develop the patience to wait for optimal conditions rather than settling for adequate ones. You must cultivate observation skills that recognize patterns, cycles, and early indicators of change. And you must maintain the confidence to act decisively when conditions align, even if the timing seems unconventional to others. This principle applies universally across life domains. In financial markets, buying during panic and selling during euphoria requires excellent timing and emotional control. In relationships, knowing when to pursue and when to create space determines success more than charm or compatibility. In career advancement, Understanding organizational cycles and decision-making rhythms creates opportunities that don't exist for poor timers. Jeff Bezos exemplified timing mastery by launching Amazon during the Internet's early growth phase. He recognized that e-commerce adoption was accelerating, that logistics infrastructure was improving, and that consumer comfort with online transactions was increasing. His timing turned a simple bookstore concept into global domination because he understood the temporal window of opportunity. The same principle applies to smaller-scale decisions. Knowing when to have difficult conversations in relationships, when to request promotions at work, when to launch new projects, and when to make major life changes can dramatically impact outcomes. Poor timing can make excellent ideas fail, while good timing can make mediocre ideas succeed. Developing timing mastery begins with becoming a student of cycles and patterns in your areas of interest. Financial markets have predictable cycles of expansion and contraction. Relationships have natural rhythms of connection and autonomy. Organizations have seasonal patterns of decision-making and budget allocation. Industries have adoption curves and disruption cycles. Study these patterns systematically rather than casually. Keep journals tracking timing decisions and their outcomes. Notice what environmental factors preceded your best and worst timing choices. Develop pattern recognition skills that allow you to see early indicators of change before they become obvious to everyone else. The Sigma male also understands seasonal timing in human psychology. People are more receptive to certain types of communication at specific times of day, week, month, and year. Energy levels, stress patterns, and decision-making capacity all follow predictable rhythms that can be leveraged for better outcomes. For example, most people make better decisions in the morning when their willpower is highest. They're more open to new ideas at the beginning of the week when possibilities feel fresh. They're more reflective and receptive to deeper conversations during transitional periods like year-end or life changes. Understanding these psychological rhythms allows you to time your communications and requests for maximum receptivity. Instead of forcing conversations when the other person is stressed, distracted, or defensive, you wait for moments when they're naturally more open and responsive. Timing mastery also involves recognizing when not to act. Sometimes the best move is no move, allowing situations to develop naturally while you prepare for future opportunities. This requires enormous self-discipline because social pressure often demands immediate action, even when patience would produce better results. The practical application involves building preparation systems that keep you ready for opportunities, while developing the patience to wait for optimal moments. You're not passive. You're actively preparing while watching for the right temporal windows. Create timing advantage by studying cycles in your field, developing pattern recognition skills, building preparation systems that keep you opportunity ready, and cultivating the emotional control to act when timing is right rather than when pressure is highest. Master this principle and you'll find that average efforts produce extraordinary results simply because they're properly timed. The Sigma male succeeds not by working harder than everyone else, but by working smarter through superior timing. When you master temporal intelligence, you discover that life becomes significantly easier because you're moving with natural currents rather than against them. Authentic authority creation. Authentic authority cannot be faked, borrowed, or purchased. It must be built through consistent demonstration of competence, character, and results. The Sigma male creates authority by becoming genuinely authoritative rather than performing authority behaviors. This authority develops through deep expertise in meaningful areas, consistent reliability in your commitments, and the courage to maintain your standards regardless of social pressure. People naturally defer to authentic authority because it provides genuine value and security. Jordan Peterson built authentic authority by spending decades developing expertise in psychology, then sharing insights that genuinely help people improve their lives. His authority wasn't claimed, it was earned through consistent value delivery. Your authentic authority grows through mastery of skills that matter, development of judgment that proves reliable, and cultivation of character that remains consistent. Under pressure, you become someone worth following rather than demanding to be followed. Create authentic authority by choosing meaningful areas for development, committing to long-term skill building, and maintaining integrity even when it's costly. Authority built on substance compounds over time and becomes unshakable. You now possess the fundamental framework that separates Sigma males from everyone else playing the game of life. These 6 principles aren't just concepts, they're practical, and tools that reshape reality when applied consistently. The invisible advantage makes you magnetic without effort. Strategic detachment makes you unmanipulatable. Scarcity psychology makes you valuable by default. Conquest through indifference makes you irresistible. Timing mastery makes you unstoppable. Authentic authority makes you undeniable. But knowledge, without implementation, is just intellectual entertainment. Your transformation begins when you start applying these principles systematically. Start with one concept and integrate it fully before moving to the next. If this content has shifted your perspective and given you practical tools for advancement, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. The Sigma male community grows through quality, not quantity, and your discernment about who receives this information is part of your development. The old rules of conquest were designed to keep you trapped in endless competition. You now have access to principles that create lasting victory, authentic power, and genuine success. Welcome to the Sigma Advantage. Your conquest begins now.